Afternoon, everybody. Today is July 3rd, and I'm feeling all sorts of conflicted. Like I grew up with a really strong sense of patriotism, and I held those values that were instilled in me in the Boy Scouts. Uh, that I then had more firmly drilled into me as an adult in the military. So like I have this sense of patriotism, um, but over the last couple years, it's been dimmed. There's just so much in the world that like if you open your eyes, honestly, it's not even if you open your eyes. If you do any amount of reading whatsoever, um, sorry, distracted by all the birds. There's like I don't know, 10 song and house sparrows in the trees around me, and then there's a bunch of other guys that are in the area. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so I've felt this sense of patriotism, and now I feel just disappointment and disgust. I mean, realistically, it's heart wrenching. Um, it's really heart wrenching because I've done reading, I've done some amount of research. I haven't done a lot, but I mean, I'm just gonna go out and say it. America's the bad place, uh, and I just, I mean, since World War II, we have been engaged in the business of, well, the business of regime change, and it's brutal. Um, like there's so many things where it's the U.S. that did it, and now the U.S. is reaping the consequences. Uh, like shit. The like Vietnam, absolutely instigated by the United States during the Gulf of Tonkin, like straight instigated. And then we turned it into an excuse to start invading them. And we all know how Vietnam ended up. Uh, Tens of thousands of lives destroyed. I don't even know how many, and I feel bad saying this, but I don't even know how many Vietnamese, North and South, ended up dying, being mutilated, having their lives cut short, their families' lives cut short. Like I don't even know. I don't even know how many, and I feel really bad about that. Uh, but like this whole business with Iran right now, right? Like nukes. Oh God, Iran's gonna get nukes, and they're gonna do what? They're not gonna fucking bomb people. Fuck no. Like any halfway sane individual understands that a nuke a nuke is the end, right? A nuke is the end. You shoot a nuke at somebody, and they're gonna shoot a nuke back at you. The only group of people in the area that they would want to nuke uh, is Israel, right? That they could reasonably reach, because they couldn't reach us unless they brought in like some backpack thing, and realistically, they're not going to try that. They're going to go into Israel and they do it there. But they're not going to do that, right? Because even power hungry religious zealots, honestly, most religious zealots wouldn't launch a nuke, right? There's groups for sure, but most people aren't going to launch a nuke, and they're going to hold on to it. They're going to sit there and they're going to hold on to it, and they're going to say, Israel, stop fucking bombing us. Stop fucking with us. Stop assassinating civilians. I mean, I am not anti-Israel. I am Jewish by descent myself. I am not whatever we've done with anti-Semitic, but I am not that. Zionism is a bit problematic, but it's not even really Zionism. I would say at this point it is the Israeli government, just the Israeli government. They're committing genocide. And Iran's never going to launch a nuke. They're going to hold on to the nuke, and they're going to do the exact same fucking thing that North Korea did. They're going to hold on to the nuke, they're going to have it, and they're never going to launch it. They're going to hold on to it as a deterrent. Same thing that we do. Because any sane person realizes that launching a nuke is going to hurt you just as much as it's going to hurt anyone else. Even if you don't factor in, like, even if you launched a nuke at a country that doesn't have a nuke, right? Like, say they're far away from you. You launch it. It can't damage you immediately, right? It can't damage you with radiation or whatever. The world ostracizes you. The world embargoes you. And your economy goes to shit. And then your country goes to shit. And people realize that. Now that I've done a random ass tangent into Iran, talking about how they're not going to launch a nuke, let's talk about why we've gotten to this point in Iran. We've made it here because we instigated the coup and the overthrow of the Shah's government. Like, let that sink in. We aided and abetted the overthrow of the Shah's government in Iran. And then the group of people that we didn't want to come into power, we wanted a different group to go in. A different group got installed, and they were religious, and they were strictly religious, ultra conservative. The ones that are there now. So we overthrew a government which was not seeking nukes, which was not funding terrorism at that point, because they were free. Women were walking the streets in clothing, like chill clothing, with no burqas, no nothing. women were allowed to do things. Because right now they're not allowed to do shit. Women were allowed to actually exist. And I'm not knocking on Islam either. I think that just like Christianity, I think that Islam needs to move into the modern era. I mean, look at Christianity. It was crazy, crazy strict, super strict. And you still have groups, but you also have people singing and dancing in churches. And early United States, singing and dancing in churches, a lot of churches. I believe it was the Lutherans, maybe? No, it wasn't the Lutherans. It was the Quakers and someone else. I don't remember who else, but it was the Quakers. And they held that dancing was sinful and singing was... Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but singing in any form other than hymnals was forbidden. I'm not totally sure, so if there's anyone out there who is a Quaker and I have been incorrect on this, I apologize. Also, anyone of various religious faiths, like, I'm not gonna knock on your belief, right? Anyone can believe whatever they want to believe. But I do think that Islam needs to kind of move forward in time. I'm not saying abandon your precepts and things like that. I'm saying that the super ultra conservative purity culture where everything is sinful probably needs to change.